Student Services Incorporated, KUR staff and management, or other affiliated organizations.
Kutztown Live. Kutztown University Campus's campus and community interest radio magazine. You can call Kutztown Live at 610-683-4859. And now, your host for Kutztown Live, Juliana Jablonski.
Good afternoon. I'm your host, Juliana, and this is Kutztown Live. Last week, we had two guests here, Jarrett Brown, the president of the Delaware Valley Historic Radio Club. The club had their annual antique radio meet here in Kutztown this past Friday and Saturday, and I was able to stop by there for a few minutes and check it all out, and it was definitely really cool to see how many people still collect antique radios and all the parts and all the things they had set out. Our second guest last week was Lori D'Onofrio Galli of the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce. She was able to share with us some of the exciting events they have planned, like an escape room. Today on the show, we have two guests. The first guest this afternoon is Dr. Christine Saidi, the Associate Professor here at Kutztown University in the Department of History. And our second guest later on in the show is Dr. Warren Hilton, the Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Affairs here at Kutztown University. It is my pleasure to introduce this afternoon our first guest here, Dr. Christine Saidi.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, welcome and thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Dr. Saidi was awarded a $200,000 National Endowment for the Humanities Collaborative Research Grant. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what that grant is and what all that means?
It's a national grant. It's funded by the U.S. government, and it's for research in the humanities. Okay. And history is part of it. And it was a collaborative grant, which meant that I and two other of my colleagues received this grant to do collective research on the role of gender in African history. My other colleagues are Rhonda Gonzalez from University of Texas, San Antonio, and Simone Forche from Bucknell University. Mm-hmm. The purpose of this grant is we are going to do research on the early history of matrilineal people in Bantu-speaking Africa. I've already published a book on the role of gender in early African history in Central Africa. My colleagues have each published a book on the role of gender in early Tanzanian history. So what we did is we got together. We're each also the only Africanist and the only African historian on our campus. So as three women who went to graduate school together at UCLA, mm-hmm. we decided to start doing things together, which historians usually don't do. But we decided to do it. And I'm a little embarrassed to admit, but it took us 4 times to get the grant.
Well, you did it.
And yeah, I mean, it's really exciting because this summer we'll be in Africa doing research. We're funded. We're going to get a book out of it. We'll write a book. I mean, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, sort of the small part of the grant is we're going to write this history of matrilineal societies in Central and East Africa. The bigger issue is often when you think about women in Africa today, it's always as victim. Whereas if you actually look at the history prior to colonialism, women had a great deal of power. And there was some more along the lines of gender equity. Women had power in one area, men had power in the others. It wasn't unusual to have women in charge of all kinds of things. But somehow that's been lost in how we look at Africa today, how the media portrays women. And it's also the second wave of feminism tended to say all women through all historical periods, ever, and forever, were oppressed. And we can very concretely show that for the last 2,000 years, at least in the areas we've already done work in, women were not oppressed as women. So it's kind of exciting work because it's starting to really force people to re-examine how they've looked at history and only looked at the colonial period and not look prior to colonialism in Africa.
And I also saw that you're taking a trip to Africa, correct?
Yeah, that's the big part of the money.
And what exactly will you be doing while you're there?
Well, we do historical linguistics, which means we look at modern words, modern languages, and we can reconstruct back certain ideas and concepts. And we're particularly looking at concepts to do with gender. We'll also be going to rural villages and collecting oral tradition and oral history from some of the older women. We will be working with some African archaeologists, other African scholars. We'll spend a lot of time out in rural villages.
When are you going? When is this happening?
We're going to go in May.
Oh, this May.
And at least our first trip will be May till the end of June.
Okay.
It's a good time to be there. You don't want to be there during the rainy season.
Okay.
And we're really looking forward to it. And between all of us, we have a lot of language skills, so we can actually talk to people.
Oh, wow. Do you speak other languages other than English?
Well, I can speak a little Bemba and some Swahili. And I read Portuguese and French, which is really necessary for the research. But like I say, the really exciting thing is sort of twofold. One, we have 3 women historians working together. Historians are usually very solitary.
Okay.
But we've sort of formed a collective, and it's really worked. We just finished a book for Oxford University Press on early Bantu history, which the majority of people in sub-Saharan Africa speak Bantu languages. And this whole area we're going to do research on is in Bantu-speaking Africa. The countries we're visiting is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Zambia, Tanzania, Mozambique, and possibly Namibia and Angola, if we can.
Oh my gosh, that sounds super cool. And you said this wasn't the first time you submitted this thing in?
Well, we kept submitting it, and they give us feedback, so we say, okay, well, we'll change this. Part of it is, I think because we're doing women and in Africa, which is not always the top of everybody's research agenda. But I think we made a powerful argument that it should be. And I think that's how we got the funding. Or they were just sick of us applying. I don't know, but, I hope for the former.
Definitely. And how did you start getting involved? Like, what brought this up and how did this whole thing begin?
Well, like I said, my PhD was looking at gender in early African history. I then got a senior researcher's Fulbright and spent a year in Zambia and the DRC. I wrote a book on the role of women in pre-colonial African society. And everything I read, though, contradicted what my research showed me. And same with my colleagues. Now things are starting to change, that people are starting to realize that the assumption they'd made about the role of gender in Africa was incorrect. And we're kind of hopefully pushing part of that change in a paradigm. We'll see. Also, a final element of this that's kind of exciting is, development and aid work. It's a, development aid to Africa. It's a huge profession. I went to a conference last summer, and it was clear to me they were trying to do aid projects when they had no understanding of what were the social relations in these villages. They didn't understand any of it. And hopefully once we publish our research, it can make a difference in how people look at some of these development projects.
Yeah, even me, like when I first heard you were coming today, I was looking over what was happening. It was just really interesting to see and read and hear all about this. This is nothing I've ever really seen or has been brought up to me before.
Well, take my History 204 class, History of Women in Africa.
All right.
You get all the latest research.
If I have space in my schedule, we'll see.
I'm teasing.
We'll see. So is there anything just else you want to share or let everyone know about this whole thing? You definitely said it was a highly competitive thing, and the application process is long and involved. So it's definitely a really high honor, or definitely really special and really cool that this, even like here, being a part of Kutztown, like for us, that this happened to us. That's definitely super cool.
I'd like to put a shout out to Jeff Werner. He had to figure out the crazy budget you have to submit. It's the federal government, so you can imagine the complexity of all this. So he really helped us with the budget and other things. And I think what it says is that people, people sort of assume we can only get science grants here. But in fact, we can get big humanities grants and other kinds of grants, And I encourage other faculty to apply.
Yeah. Definitely, and all this just sounds super cool, and all that you're doing is definitely super great and really neat and interesting to hear. Is there anything, final closing thoughts you have?
I look forward to sort of presenting all this research when we're finished.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll definitely be integrated into my African history class.
All right, take African history classes here. All right, thank you very much for stopping in today. And up next, we will be speaking to Dr. Warren Hilton, so stay tuned.
Mateys, come join our crew from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on September 22nd for giveaways, free pizza, and fun. Ahoy! Prizes ahead! Complete your orientation by September 26th for a chance at winning some of our great prizes. This year's grand prize is a GoPro Hero camera. Plus, some professors are offering credit for students who attend. Our annual open house is a great chance to learn about Rohrbach's resources, services, and more. KU students who complete the orientation form and submit it by September 26th are eligible for the prize drawing. We can't wait to see you there. At the Rohrbach Library, September 22nd, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
It's Telescopic Topics, a look into the world above us.
If you had to make a playlist that represented all of humanity, what would it sound like? Hi, I'm Michael O'Donohue, and I'm going to be talking about the Voyager and the Golden Record today. In 1972, humanity began one of its most optimistic and ambitious projects titled Voyager. 2 Voyager spacecraft were launched in order to explore the outer reaches of our solar system. They would beam back information in the form of data and pictures during the course of their flight. Voyager was imbued with a second purpose, though. In the off chance that these craft should ever be encountered by other life forms, objects were placed on Voyager to serve as inanimate ambassadors for humanity. Amongst these various objects, that included mathematical equations and a map to Earth, was a golden record. The record contained imagery of Earth and a carefully curated playlist of humanity. The creative director, Ann Drayan, and her husband, Carl Sagan, consulted many ethnomusicologists to select songs from throughout the history of humanity that would best represent the major nationalities of Earth. In addition to the music of Earth, a litany of sounds from around our planet were also recorded. So what will extraterrestrial life get to hear if they ever encounter Voyager and the Golden Record? Well, here's a small sample of the 30-plus selected sounds and songs. Bach. The sound of wind through the trees. Beethoven. A mother speaking to her newborn child. Ancient Chinese harp music. A greeting, repeated in 55 different languages. A train, roaring across tracks. A pod of whales. And my personal favorite of the list, Chuck Berry.
Telescopic Topics, a look into the world above us. Stay tuned to KUR for more telescopic topics, and for more information or to hear the segment again, click on the Telescopic Topics icon on the KUR website at www.kutztown.edu/KUR. Telescopic Topics is a production of the KU Physical Sciences Department and is recorded by the KU astronomy students in the studios of KUR. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Little step
This traffic note to pass along to our listeners as you try to navigate your little deuce coupe through the streets of Kutztown. The East Main Street Improvement Project began on July 11th, and from July 18th through October, Main Street is closed between Railroad Street and Elm Street. The borough realizes that parking will be an issue during this time, and they ask your cooperation in finding legal alternatives to parking on Main Street. Please visit the borough website and HomeNet Facebook page for future updates. KUR, the radio voice of Kutztown University, and Golden Bears football is your winning combination this fall. KUR is once again your official radio source for all KU football broadcasts on the road, and now brings you audio simulcasts of the KU TV telecasts for home games. Join the Golden Bears' Matt Santos in his 25th season of covering the team, and his special guests live from the booth as they bring you every exciting play of the 2016 season. Visit kutztown.edu/KUR for broadcast times. That's KU football all season long, all 11 games on KUR, your exclusive radio home for Kutztown University Golden Bears football.
Hey KU students, how would you like to be a part of the two-time recipient of Kutztown University's Gold Status Organization of the Year? If so, bring all your talents to KUR. No experience required, on-site training provided. For more information about joining, go to our website at kutztown.edu/KUR or drop us an email at kur@kutztown.edu. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hello and welcome back. I'm your host, Juliana, and this is Kutztown Live. Before the break, we spoke to Dr. Christine Sadie, who was awarded a $200,000 National Endowment for the Humanities Collaborative Research Grant. And here with us now, we have Dr. Warren Hilton, the Kutztown University Vice President of Enrollment and Student Affairs. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Juliana.
Yes, we are very excited to have you here today. So, I guess to start off, we'll talk about what exactly you do here and what all that entails.
Sure. First, before I do that, let me just say congratulations to Dr. Saidi for all of her work with her colleagues. She's doing very important work, and successfully receiving that grant is really a good thing for the university and our students, obviously. But as far as what my job entails is, basically the job entails kind of three things. Student success. How do we recruit students who can be successful at KU? Mm-hmm. How do we retain them? And as a part of that, number two is casting a wider net in terms of our recruitment efforts. We've looked at where we recruit and looked at how we can expand that. We recently hired a new staff member who joined us in the beginning of September, Kenneth Blair, who is our regional recruiter for Philadelphia, our admissions recruiter for Philadelphia. He works, lives, and breathes Philadelphia. And so he'll be recruiting in Philadelphia and also in Delaware County. So casting a wider net, looking at how we can attract more students from a wider audience, if you will, to Kutztown. And then, as I said earlier, supporting them once they're here to help them retain. And then lastly, my job is to be the cheerleader for enrollment management and student affairs, and helping everyone understand that they play a part in recruiting and retaining students, not just the folks who work in enrollment management and student affairs.
When you were saying about recruiting students, I remember when I was in high school, we had someone come in and talk about Kutztown, and I went and heard all about it, and I definitely just, when you were saying that, I just had a flashback to high school and sitting in that room with some guy talking about Kutztown. So.
Well, it's important, it's interesting you mentioned that. We have been looking at why, and I'm asking the question, why do students choose Kutztown? So that we can, crystallize that message, and as we are recruiting students in high schools, community colleges, community organizations, to really tell the story of Kutztown. We have fantastic folks here in enrollment management and student affairs, and we have a wonderful operation related to marketing. Our colleagues in marketing are putting together kind of our brand right now, which will help us, again, market the institution and tell the story of the institution, who we really are, so that students who resonate with who we are will want to, as you did, choose KU.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I was saying before how much I really like it here and just all about it. Even like the place. I'm so not like a city person, so I love just being here and everything that's around. I love the little town and everything.
Certainly.
Oh yeah. So like I've heard a lot of things about like retention and keeping people here and students, and that's like currently a main goal right now. What's going on with that?
Well, there's a number of things. I think if you look at Dr. Hawkinson, his opening address, you will see that our retention rate has gone down over the years, to the tune of, if our retention rate was what it was some years ago, the institution would have obviously more students still here. And so we're looking at a number of things. First of all, as I said earlier, recruiting students who we feel can be successful at the institution, looking at what they bring to the table in terms of their academics and other criteria, and admitting those students who we know can be successful here. And in doing that this past year, even before I got here, under Dr. Hawkinson and Dr. Zayat's leadership, we now have denied about 9.5 more percent than we did the previous year in terms of people coming in to KU. Okay. And we feel that will help with the retention there. Additionally, putting programs in place in various parts of the institution, working with Dr. Zayats, our provost, and her staff, collaboratively to see what we can do to affect retention. If you look nationally, there's some really high impact practices that help with retention, making sure students are connected to someone at the institution who can serve as a contact for them, making sure students are aware of and nudging students to services that can help them. CASA, our Center for Academic Support and Academic Success and Achievement, has wonderful staff members there who are here to help students along the way, making sure that incoming students who qualify are aware of programs like our TRIO Support Services program, and then making sure that in the residence halls that our programming is helping students feel connected to the institution. I must give a shout out to our residence life staff.
Oh, yeah.
This year the theme was igniting your inner golden bear, and Welcome Week was fantastic this year. For those of the listeners who went, they know what I'm talking about. We incorporated alumni in a number of events to really help students ignite their inner golden bear and feel that sense of connection to KU. And so things like that and more help with our retention rate. The last thing I'll say about retention is students in various programs, like I mentioned, but the high, what some might call high achieving students, students who have high SAT scores and high school GPAs, we have some scholarships in place that connect them to the honors program, because the research does show students who are in honors programs retain at a higher rate. Students who are in support programs like TRIO Support Services retain at a higher rate. And like I said, students who are connected to someone on campus who can be a resource for them retain at a higher rate.
Okay. And even with retention and talking about housing, I've heard a lot of the 2 years on campus.
True.
Does that have anything to do with this retention rate thing going on?
Absolutely. I mean, the research nationally shows it, but even locally here at KU shows that students who spend at least their first 2 years on campus retain and graduate at a higher rate than those who don't. And so obviously putting that in place is a retention strategy. I'll add that there are some exceptions to that. Obviously, if you are a student and you're living at home with your parents, within 30-mile radius, those type of things. If you're married and have a kid, so there are some exceptions, but for the most part, students beginning next fall with the incoming class will have to reside in campus housing for their first 2 years, which is actually a really great thing. If you can think about your own experience in campus housing, our CAs and the residence life staff really help to connect students to the campus and then give them an experience that helps them perform better at the institution. Additionally, I know Dr. Saidi was just here. She is one of the faculty who is involved with our learning communities. We have various learning communities. Hers is, I believe, we call it KU World, which is an international kind of learning community. So this is where students are living and residing in the same place. They have a faculty member who they're connected with. So all great strategies for helping students remain at KU, which is what we want them to do and be successful and graduate and move on to successful careers.
Definitely. I love it here. So I'll be here all for you.
All right. Fantastic.
Is there any final thoughts or things you want to say?
Like I said, we're really focused in on student success. How can we recruit students that we believe will be successful, and then putting strategies and programs and services in place to help them retain. We're doing that in a collaborative way. It's not just enrollment management and student affairs. I think we all have a part in helping KU succeed. So no matter whether you're a faculty, staff member, or a student, there's something that we all can do to help recruit students to come here and help students stay here. And I would be remiss, and my staff probably would kill me, but I do have to say right now, as part of our 150th year celebration, Dr. Hawkinson announced last week that for Lehigh, Berks, and Schuylkill County, the three counties that Kutztown was founded to serve, we are doing an application fee waiver for any students applying for this coming spring or fall semester until October 17th. So we encourage students, if you live, reside, go to school in those three counties, to apply now and have your application fee waived. So thank you for your time, and I'm glad you're loving KU, and we hope to get many more students like you, Juliana.
Well, thank you again for coming in today and sharing a little bit with us this afternoon.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Don't let a tick or a mosquito make you sick. I'm State Senator Judy Schwenk with a Pennsylvania moment. To avoid Lyme disease, the West Nile and Zika viruses, use insect repellent with the ingredient DEET. When walking in the woods or tall grass, wear long-sleeve shirts and long pants. Afterwards, check for ticks and take a shower. Empty any water-filled containers that might breed mosquitoes. For more tips, log on to health.pa.gov. I'm State Senator Judy Schwenk with a Pennsylvania moment.
For the last 150 years, students who chose Kutztown University chose to have it all. With 100 areas of study, 200 student organizations, and 21 NCAA Division II sports, KU has something for every activity and interest. Start your college search and be inspired at Kutztown University. Attention prospective students. In honor of KU's 150th birthday and the three counties in the university originally served, all students from Schuylkill, Berks, and Lehigh counties will have their application fee waived now through October 17th. Apply to Kutztown University today, and don't miss our fall open houses October 14th, 28th, and November 11th, or schedule a tour at your convenience with your family. To register, go to kutztown.edu/visit today. That's kutztown.edu/visit.
It's Telescopic Topics, a look into the world above us.
It's a popular dwarf planet, Pluto, and it's in the news once again. This is Holly Ann Moninghoff with breaking news about Pluto. Pluto's in the spotlight again. NASA's New Horizons mission has found evidence of exotic ices flowing across Pluto's surface. New close-up images from the spacecraft's LORRI reveal sign of recent geologic activity. This came as a surprise to scientists, but it was all they could have hoped for. The only other planetary surfaces with recent geologic activity are on active worlds like Earth and Mars. The geologic activity is in the form of flowing ices on Pluto's Texas-sized plain referred to as Sputnik Planum. NASA's New Horizons mission reveals glaciers flowing back from the blanketed mountain region into Sputnik Planum that are similar to the frozen streams on the margins of the ice caps on Greenland and Antarctica. This is breaking news because it is a proving factor of Pluto being an active world. Water ice, frozen nitrogen, methane ice, and carbon monoxide ice cover Pluto. The ices are thickest in the Sputnik Planum region. The ices are flowing and have seemed to cover craters. Scientists can't find a single crater. Scientists say this means the area has recently been resurfaced. NASA's New Horizons mission has revealed new leads that scientists are now looking into. Scientists have theorized that the icy feature may be caused by Pluto's atmosphere, but more research must be done. They are now trying to find more information to try and explain the bizarre icy features of Pluto's Sputnik Planum region.
Telescopic Topics, a look into the world above us. Stay tuned to KUR for more telescopic topics, and for more information, or to hear this segment again, click on the Telescopic Topics icon on the KUR website at www.kutztown.edu/KUR. Telescopic Topics is a production of the KU Physical Sciences Department and is recorded by KU astronomy students in the studios of KUR. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome back to Kutztown Live. We just spoke to two guests a few moments ago. We spoke to Dr. Christine Saidi and Dr. Warren Hilton. And here with me now, I have Nick Lawrence, a talk show host on WEEU.
Hey, Juliana, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you this afternoon?
I'm excited about being here. It's my first time back to KUR this semester, let's say. So I'm excited about being here with you. So brand new show you have, right?
Yes, we're excited to I'm excited to have you here. I can't wait to hear all of your advice and everything.
Well, tell me about your show a little bit. What's your show all about?
This show?
Yeah, this show. This one. You do a couple of them, I think, right?
I do a Kutztown's Country at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, and then Kutztown Live, this kind of campus and community talk show in Tuesday afternoon.
So they're totally different formats, though, right?
Yes, both are. One is mostly music, and I talk a little bit throughout, and then this one is mostly all talking. So
that's cool. So I'm really glad to be here, where we can talk about pretty much anything that's on your mind. I understand that you have you admire Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, my dream job is to have my own kind of TV talk show, like the Ellen Show.
Okay. So what's that all about? When did you start liking her?
Well, after school, that was kind of the show that was on, and me and my sisters, we'd all kind of come home from school, have snack, and sit right in front of the TV, and the Ellen Show was on, and we all laugh, and even my mom and my two younger sisters, all of us would be sitting there watching the show, and then after a while, just kind of watching, I was like, something like that would definitely be really cool to do.
So do you see yourself as are you funny? Do you think you're funny as a person as well as entertaining, obviously?
I do. I guess I do think I'm funny sometimes.
Okay.
Definitely, more when I'm with my friends, kind of, and family and people that I'm more comfortable with. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely more outgoing with that. I'm more not outgoing with people I don't know, and not, I guess, very funny. But.
So what kind of humor do you like? Do you like satire? Do you like do you make up your own jokes? Have you told jokes? When people say you're funny and you think you're funny, what do you mean by that?
I think I just kind of do dumb stuff that's not I don't know how to word that. Stuff that's just kind of do whatever and kind of say whatever I'm thinking, and it just kind of ends up funny, I guess.
So you like I guess what I hear as you're talking to me, you like to be spontaneous about things. right? You like things to just kind of happen, and you trust your intuition and your judgment to say the right kinds of things, or
I
what?
don't know. Maybe a mix of the two. I'm definitely a planner.
Okay.
I have like tons of schedules and planners and organizers, but I guess I'm also spontaneous.
Because on the radio, you almost have to be spontaneous, right? I mean, you never know where it's going. You just did 2 interviews, and it could have gone anywhere, really. Unless you know the personalities in advance, it's hard to know how you're going to be. So I think doing this is not only, you have to not only react, but you also have to be proactive in a way, right? As
Definitely,
to what you're doing.
especially doing this has slowly but surely building my skills on being able to have a good conversation in here.
So what do you think Ellen's strengths are? What do you think her strengths are? You said it was funny you and your sisters enjoy watching the show after school and everything. Where do you think her strengths are?
Wow. I think she definitely knows, like, how she's definitely very comfortable. At least it looks like she's definitely very comfortable up there, and she can kind of get up and dance in front of everyone. Like, that's her thing, kind of dancing in front of everyone, and just kind of makes it almost like a relaxed feel. And like when people come in, she's just so comfortable talking to them, and everybody just seems to love her, and just kind of everything that's going on just seems so chill, and like it's just kind of happening, and nothing seems very forced at all.
She has a way, and I think a lot of people who are in TV are successful if they do a show like that, like a lighthearted variety type show. She has a smile on her face all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You never see her sad unless she's obviously talking about something that's a serious topic. So I think that goes a long way too. And the fact that you said that she dances a whole lot and people get in, she goes into the audience and dances with people. People love all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, on radio, the difference between TV and radio
is no one can see you.
Is nobody can nobody can see you, but
so your voice needs to be fun.
You have to be able to kind of create a picture in people's minds, because we do think in words, right? And those words portray some type of a picture in our mind. So having a bright personality, like an outgoing personality, like it seems you do. I mean, this is the first time I've met you, so it seems that's going to do well for you. Is that what you want for yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. I try to be outgoing and everything, but even with like a talk show, or even like, because I'm into a lot of music, mostly country music, which a lot of people aren't a fan of, but I'm into all different types of music. And if you ever go to like a concert, and like between the concerts, there's like that person who's kind of a DJ who kind of plays music and keeps the crowd like super excited and having a lot of fun and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely also interested in even something like that. I think is definitely super cool.
So how'd you get interested in country music? It's not something that generally people think of with millennials and young people like yourself, that country is their thing.
You know what? I just kind of it was kind of on the radio. I'm mostly into, I don't want to say the pop country, but mostly what's on the radio is what I really like. On the country stations that they play now is what I really like, not like the older types of country music, but I think I just kind of started hearing it on the radio, and definitely it was something I'm into. My sisters, every time I played in the car, of course, they're both screaming change the song or something like that. But it's always been...
Well, country music always has some message. I mean, a lot of it's it's sad love type songs, but there's always some message in country music, right?
I love even a lot of the songs have like stories. Like one of my favorite songs is by Lee Brice. Love Like Crazy, and like there's that story. I think is just the cutest thing, and I think just because all the songs seem like they have a story behind them.
They do. They have some story. They have emotion behind them. They have some meaning to them.
Yeah.
Usually something to do. They're not necessarily topics other than about love, right? Country music is primarily about love, I think. I mean, I'm not a great country fan, but now that you're interested in it, I think I'll learn to be interested in it. Just you have to listen to your show.
Yes.
And what time's that show in the morning?
10 in the morning every Tuesday.
And it's how long of a show is that?
Just 10 to 11.
Okay, well that's cool though. So you have any favorite country artists?
I'm sporting my Lee Brice shirt.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even see that. Yeah, okay.
He's probably definitely my favorite country artist. I got to see him last March with Claire Dunn.
Okay.
And Dylan Scott.
Okay.
They were two there, which was definitely really cool to see. I've enjoyed that so much.
Do they ever bring any acts here to the campus, or any country acts ever been here? I'm not aware, so I'm not sure.
No, they have Mike Posner. He's more of a Posner. He's more of like a pop kind of artist, but I know he's coming. But no, not that I can think of.
So let's talk about you for a second. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I'm going to interview you too. So we do this together with each other.
All right.
So why is radio interesting to you? Why is this the medium you chose? I mean, I like radio because you can create. You create mental pictures in people's minds. They don't see you. You can dress down if you want to do that. You can express the way you want to express. But you have to create a mental picture for people, right? So why do you like radio, though?
I never really thought that much into it. I just kind of, like, as soon as I came to Kutztown and I heard there was, like, a radio club, I was like, that's definitely something really cool. And so I came to, like, the first meetings, and right after I was so excited and just, I think I just really enjoy it for myself mostly, but I love doing it and telling, like, my friends, like, love hearing it kind of thing. And I've always listened to, like morning shows on the radio, and like I was like, oh, that definitely is so cool that they do it. Like, I've always just thought that's something really cool, and then I was like, wow, I even have an opportunity to do this. And so I think just the whole
I'm
thing.
fascinated with people's personalities, and so one of the things you said to me initially when you just started, you said that you're not necessarily outgoing with people you don't know. But when you get to know them, then you're much more friendly, much more outgoing. I think you said that in the beginning, right?
Yeah, something like
okay,
that.
so but here you are on the radio, where basically you're talking to strangers, and yet you're still outgoing and you're friendly. I think that's pretty neat that you're like that,
I
right?
think I'm also like, when I'm here, sometimes I'm like alone, and so I'm just kind of by myself talking, and no one's here looking at me or having an awkward conversation, so I can just kind of go off on whatever.
Yeah. So
want.
do you think this is going to sound like a strange question. Do you think you're like, because you admire Ellen DeGeneres' energy, let's say her spontaneity, her energy, do you see yourself like that in any way? I know you said you'd love to do a show. Do you think you're similar in personality to her in a sense? I think people really latch on or glam on to people that they think are like themselves. So I'm just curious to see if you see any elements of you in her or any elements of her in you in any way.
I don't know. Not specifically off the top of my head. Obviously, I don't know Ellen personally.
Right, yeah, of course.
Ellen, if you're listening, give me a call.
Let's have coffee. Let's get together.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. She definitely, from what I can tell, seems like just a super fun, outgoing, caring person. She definitely has a lot of things she definitely cares about, and like when she talks about things, she definitely kind of puts her whole heart into things and everything she does, and works like crazy. And so I definitely think I try to have a lot of fun and put my heart into everything I enjoy, and so I guess there are some like similar aspects of the two of us.
Ellen was really like a pioneer when she came out, right? And she came out and said that she was gay. I mean, there was a lot of criticism about her initially when she first did that. Now nobody says anything about it, and they kind of accept the role that she has. But I mean, I was thinking about it when I was thinking about talking about Ellen DeGeneres with you. I think of her as kind of like a courageous person in a way for doing. And still, there are a lot of people today who have feelings that they feel they cannot express, right? And she brought her sexuality to light in a sense, and I think that was a courageous move for her. What do you think? See, today it's accepted that for a lot of people, it's accepted that they come out and people just say, well, that's the way it is. Especially your generation of millennials are more accepting, I think, than previous generations were or are of alternative lifestyle. Let's put it that way, right? So maybe to you, what do you mean? There's no big deal. But what do you think about that, though?
I don't know. Like, I'm even thinking of like her her thing at the end. Everything is just be kind to one another.
Right.
And so I think that's her whole thing. I don't know. As long as we're all nice to each other. And
do you think it was a courageous move for her, though, to come out? Or when somebody is gay, for them to make that decision? I think that's a courageous move, knowing that there are still a lot of people that have biases against gay people and prejudices and things like that. What do you think, though? I'm trying to elicit your opinion here. I want you to tell me what you think.
I know before we were saying I have trouble expressing my opinion.
Does it seem like courageous anymore, or is it just the norm for people that many people in your generation just kind of accept all different types of lifestyle, same-sex marriage, being gay, you can go down the list, right, of things. from the kids that I work with many times on the weekend, they see themselves as much more accepting and tolerant and let's say you use the word liberal than their parents are in a sense. So what do you think? Do you think is your philosophy of life similar to your parents, or do you think you're different from them?
I think my philosophies of life are similar to my parents. I definitely have good relationship with both my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I definitely think a lot of our views on things are
they're similar.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you're more conservative, more liberal, more how would you see yourself?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I'm just kind of go with the
You
flow.
go with the flow.
Whatever I think, I just kind of think, and that's kind of what it is.
Well, one of the things since we're talking about entertainment type stuff, and I'm not sure how you feel about this, but I saw this article today that popped up on the news about Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been a major surprise now that they've decided to file for divorce. She's filed for divorce against him. The ideal Hollywood family, right? They adopted 6 kids, and they seemed very close. I mean, and he left Jennifer Aniston for Angelina Jolie, if I remember correctly.
I can't remember.
I think they were.
Maybe you're right.
Or it was somebody. I think it was Jennifer Aniston. I may be wrong about that, but anyway. So now they're getting a divorce. How can that be? They went through all these things together. They adopted all of these children, show a lot of love. They do a lot of good in the world, and now they're getting a divorce.
I know, but when you said this earlier, I haven't heard of it, and so I was like, ooh, it came almost like a little shock. Like you see all the cute pictures of their whole family everywhere on the internet and all that, and so, you said she was getting divorced. What were her reasons again?
Well, she says there. It says that the decision to divorce was made for the health of the family. It says the couple has 3 biological children. We know that, and then they go on to mention those things. And then she said something. This article says something about him maybe smoking too much pot. I mean, these are all hearsay things. So I'm not saying this is exactly all these places. They report all these things until we find out what the actual facts are. I guess my question is, I get disappointed when I see people who are successful, and let's say in the media, and then you hear about these divorces. Is the cause of the divorce the industry that they're in? Can Hollywood couples ever really make it when they're exposed to so many different types of people, so many different types of experiences that they have?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I'm definitely thinking I don't know, because everyone in Hollywood, their lives are just so out there. We know there's only there's a lot of people that are famous, but only a select few of the people in the world are famous, I guess. And so we hear about in that select few getting divorced. And so I think just because it's so in the media, we hear about it more. I'm not sure. I think because their lives or everything they do is kind of recorded, I think definitely that can put a hit on things. But I don't know. She says she's doing it for her health, and it's kind of what she needs to do as a person. I think is probably definitely hard to come out and say this because they know everyone probably sees them as that perfect family. But I think if it in the end is what is best and what's needed for them.
I think that's great. I think what you just said there was really perfect. I'm just thinking that many times they do things with other people. In other words, normally a couple gets married, they love each other, they're exclusive to each other, they share intimacy with each other, and they have children many times, or they adopt, as these guys did. And that's pretty much what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a movie star, you have to be intimate with people that are strangers. You said you're very shy with people who are, until you get to know them. Can you imagine if you had to do a love scene with somebody and somebody who's really attractive? Or maybe you're having a bad day with your spouse and you're on the set with somebody who's really nice to you or treats you really well. I can see how the temptations might be a great thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought too much about it, but I definitely think in Hollywood, it's definitely harder it's obviously definitely harder because obviously their schedules are crazy and they're everywhere harder to be married and have that relationship when you're not famous, you're kind of home and you live your own life and kind of do your thing.
And you think in terms of like couples, somebody will say that they need the other person. They need the other person, let's say, for financial support or materials support, things like that. If both people are successful, that need goes away, right? In other words, each of these people, Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie, I'm sure they're going to be okay financially, even if they're not together, right? So the basic needs that people have in relationships a lot of times are not necessarily there. I'm just wondering what the glue is in a relationship, in a Hollywood relationship. There are only a few that I'm aware of that actually have lasted a long time. Most of them last for a few years. You hear all these, they're deeply in love, they found somebody, their soulmate, all this, and within a couple of years they're splitting.
Mm-hmm. Zac Efron, he's one of my favorite male actors.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite. I'm all about it. But even him and his girlfriend Sammy recently broke up, and then there was like an article about him that I was reading, and even he was saying that he doesn't plan on getting married until he's at least 40, because his industry is so demanding on everything, and he knows he can't commit while he's so into all this.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, it's hard to commit when there's so many temptations or so many, I don't like the word temptation, but you know what I mean. There's so many other choices that people have, and they don't necessarily have to commit. So I'm not sure how people even actually fall in love when they're exposed to so many different people all the time. I mean, the average person, maybe dates a few people and they find somebody they think is really special. But think of all the people that are in Hollywood. And they're all glamorous people for one form in one form or another. So they're all competing with each other. And then how do you choose someone? And after you've been with someone, it's almost like being in a candy store. If this piece of candy doesn't work out, you'll try this one over here. And if that's not okay, there's going to be another one coming along. So I just think it's difficult for people in Hollywood. I'm not saying it can't happen, but there are certain types of jobs, even people who are medical people that are on call all the time. It affects their relationships, right? They can't be here. So I don't know. So I don't know your take on it. So can Hollywood marriages actually really work, or do they have strikes against them before they get started?
I think they can work. I don't want to say they can't. I think anything, if the two people want it to work, it can. I don't think Hollywood should be the thing that.
So it shouldn't necessarily stop them from being, but they have to work. No. They probably have to work at it more than.
You have to work at it double than if you weren't in Hollywood, I'd say.
So this particular article is from TMZ.com, and it says on here, our sources say that Angelina became, and this is a quote, fed up, end quote, with Brad's consumption of weed and possibly alcohol, and mixed with what she believes is, and here's another quote, an anger problem, end quote, felt it became dangerous for her children. So they're TV persona or their movie persona is one thing. We never really get to know who their real persona is, right? The person they are within. So I don't know. Fascinating stuff. Look, I want to wish you the best with this show. Hopefully I'll come back and spend some time with you again.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Definitely. I want to say thanks again to both of our guests this afternoon, Dr. Christine Saidi and Dr. Warren Hilton. And thank you, Nick Lawrence, for stopping in today.
No, it was fun.
Definitely. I want to say that if you tuned in halfway through the show or would love to hear it all again, you can always head over to the KUR website at www.kutztown.edu/KUR and click on the podcast link at the bottom of the page and click the link for today's show. Usually shows are up about 24 hours afterwards, so look for that around this time tomorrow and you can listen to that. I'm glad you were here today. Thank you, and thank you everyone else for tuning in today, and we'll be back next Tuesday at 3. I'm Juliana, and this has been Kutztown Live.